Hello and welcome to the Andrew Wasson YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me over here. I only post a couple of times a month on this channel, but most of my lessons will go up on the Creative Guitar Studio YouTube channel, so definitely check that out as well. I also do a monthly donation drive, so you can receive a Handouts Collection ebook that is excellent. You can check that out over on my donation page. But let's just get into things today on what we want to talk about on the 4 things that are going to help you move beyond being a beginner guitar player. And they're all based upon basically getting some focus on what I would refer to as the main pillars of what makes any musician more highly skilled. Now, these 4 areas are going to include, number 1, your ability to use your ear and to be able to discern exactly what's happening during a musical performance. Number 2 is going to be developing a consistent and accurate feel for rhythm. That's so important to have an internalized, solid sense of groove. Now, number 3, this is all about getting comfortable, and that really happens when you're around other musicians and especially when you're live on stage. So the more opportunities that you can find yourself in to play with other musicians and especially be up on stage, that is super important. Now, number 4, consistency in expanding your musical repertoire. This is huge because when you move out of your musical comfort zone, you could say, you're going to be doing things that are quite different. If you jump into music that you know nothing about and you study it and you get pretty decent at it, it's going to help you in all kinds of other areas as well. So move out of your comfort zone with the music that you know, and that's going to help you really reach all 4 of the pillars, including the other ideas that I talked about to build your musical success. Now, I wanted to show you a simple exercise here today that an old teacher of mine had shown me back when I was first trying to expand my own musical ability. And the exercise that he got me to do was based around learning some jazzy chords and playing some simple major key melody lines around those chords. And I think that major is really important to get into. For a lot of people, they pick up guitar after listening to years of rock music, and a lot of rock is in minor. So if you can sort of force yourself into the direction of major as soon as possible, it's going to really help you expand your horizons in a great way. So let's get into some of these chords that I want to cover here today. We're going to be working in the key of D, with the first chord being the root chord, and it's going to be a D major 9. You can see the fingering that I'm setting up there. It's off the 5th string root of D, and we've got the fingering of 2, 1, 3, and 4 going across these notes of D to F sharp, and then we've got a C sharp there, and then we've also got this high E, which is the 9th, bringing in that sound for D major 9. Next chord I want to cover is kind of unique. It's a F sharp minor 9, and what's kind of interesting here in this case is we are bringing in a note that's kind of unique for us. It is this note up here. It's a G sharp. Now, in this key of D major, we do not have a G sharp. We've got just a C sharp and an F sharp. But when we bring this note in, we have to be able to somehow cover it. And that's what we're going to be focusing on in this lesson. The fingering for the F sharp minor 9 is going to be 2, 1, 3, 4. And we've got the notes from the bass there of F sharp into an A. And then we've got this E note going up to that unique G sharp tone on the 2nd string at the 9th fret. All right, now we're going to move into a B minor 11. I really like minor 11 chords. I think they're cool sounding. They're very unique in their structure. They got a really warm tone to them. In this case, we're in 5th position. We're setting up this B minor 11 off 6th string. So we got a fingering here of 2nd finger. We're skipping 5th string, going to 4th with 3rd finger, and then 3rd string gives our 4th finger there, and then indexes up on this E note, which is the 11th, and that is on the 2nd string at the 5th fret. Finally, to wrap everything up, we've got this chord here, A13. Now, this is a really warm chord. It's part of the dominant family of chords. We've got a low A there on the 6th string. We're skipping 5th string. We've got a G coming up next with our middle finger, and then we've got our ring finger over here on this C sharp, and then we've got on top an F sharp there with the 4th finger on the 7th fret of 2nd string. So the fingering is easy. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4. But the structure of it and the warmth that we get out of it is really, really cool. Now, all these chords are giving us a really unique structure and a nice sound of a different style of tone from what we're probably accustomed to if we are a beginner. You know, most of us will learn the open position chords. Fingerings like this might be really challenging in the beginning, but you just take your time and put them together and, you know, get some kind of groove going with them. And eventually, it may take you, I don't know, 3 weeks tweaks, but you will get them down and it'll start playing, and everything will be clear for you and everything will be good. But I think you just got to spend the time on it, and then it'll click and it'll come together. Around these chords, what's going to be really important is you got some scale tones to work out, and I've got a nice scale layout that's in 2 parts. It's going to be D major set up in a section that's going sort of around 4th and 5th frets there in the beginning, and that's going to be our first chunk of notes. Then we're going to do another chunk of notes from up here on this D that's at the 10th fret, going to this D on the 3rd string, to this D on the 1st string. So that's going to be our setup for all of the D major sounds on the neck. I highly suggest that you practice them exactly the way I just played them through in sort of 2 pieces, and then try joining them along the neck. And then what you need to do is you need to think a little bit about that chord that we talked about, the F sharp minor 9. It's got that G sharp in it, and that note really is not in this scale, so you have to highlight it when that chord appears. And that's a big part about playing jazz, covering notes, covering sounds that don't belong. So if you can practice doing this kind of thing early on in your playing and thinking about it in an early point at which you're playing guitar, it's going to make you a much better musician, and it's going to help you with all of those skills that I had mentioned, the idea of discerning, being very clear in your mind about what you're listening to with tones. It's going to be, helping you come together in a way as a guitar player that most people don't get till way later on in their guitar playing, journey, you could say. So what I'm going to do next is I want to fire up a jam loop that I put together. It's right here on my pedal, and it's just basically those chords that are, the chords I just played. So I'm going to just strum those chords as we go through so you can hear the connection. So first of all, we got D major 9, and then F sharp minor 9 with that unique G sharp note, and then B minor 11, and then A 13. Now I'm just going to play some simple melody. Just something easy like that. Start with this. Keep expanding. Expanding. And that's how you practice this stuff. You get yourself a loop pedal. If you don't have one already, they're fairly inexpensive. Get your chords recorded into the loop pedal. Start practicing timing, start practicing feel, and get a vibe for what's going on in the playing. And then just keep expanding on the changes that you make to rhythms and targeting of notes. And over time, what's going to happen is it's going to get easier and easier. And all this stuff is doing a multitude of the things that we talked about in the 4 pillars. You're getting your ear tied in to what's going on, especially the unique notes, and that's why this type of style is so valuable. Being able to feel rhythms out and creating melody and jamming out on chord progressions and connecting everything. And then hopefully you can take this around a group of your friends. Maybe you know somebody that plays piano, or maybe you just know someone that plays drums. Just go and hang out one night and just jam out on some of this stuff and see if you can make a connection happen with all these sounds. Maybe you can even, on a Saturday afternoon or something, go to a blues jam or some kind of situation where you can play on stage and focus on that. And then more work all the time in trying to jump into styles that you are unfamiliar with, whether that means like maybe you want to try some Latin music, and maybe there's something in a reggae beat that's kind of interesting to you. You can jump into that. Maybe you've never played country western. Maybe you're sort of somebody that's never played blues and you just want to dive into that a little bit more. Perhaps you really don't even really understand styles at all, so you're just kind of jumping into simple songs out there that can be helpful for you to build a repertoire out of. You know, like on the creativeguitarstudio.com website, if you join over there with me, I do have a songs program called Quick Songs. So you could jump into that and you could just play along with some of those easy tunes out there. And it's all going to come together to help build these 4 pillars for you and create a solid foundation so you can become the best guitar player that you could possibly be. So anyway, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this session. I hope you like these chords that we talked about, and I hope that you'll join me next over on either my YouTube channel at Creative Guitar Studio, maybe on my Patreon. You can reach that at patreon.com/Creative Guitar Studio, or you could just go to my website and start jumping into a lot of the free stuff that I've got over there. That's at creativeguitarstudio.com. But really where all the action happens is with my courses over at creativeguitarstudio.com, because I've got my beginner program, intermediate, and advanced, and that's really what's going to propel you to the next levels that you're playing. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you can get some good value out of it as you progress in your journey as a guitarist. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to catching up with you again next time for another one of these installments here on the Andrew Wasson YouTube channel. So thank you again, and I'll catch up with you next time. Bye for now. With a free membership, you'll be able to access all the free lesson material, including a collection of 6 years of YouTube archives, where there are hundreds of videos, PDF handouts, and MP3 jam tracks. Plus, with a free membership, you'll gain access to the Quick Licks program, a 30-lesson course covering guitar licks in all playing styles across all types of scales and arpeggios. When you sign up for a paid membership, you'll get access to my core curriculum, including my beginner, intermediate, and advanced guitar programs. Plus, there's also my elective courses on the site, like acoustic guitar, guitar technique, guitar soloing, ear training, music reading, and many others. Go check it out. You're going to love it. The website is creativeguitarstudio.com.